Hello, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. My name is Duale Isa Yusuf and welcome new program for general election of UK. Following the solution, there are no MPs until after the general election, the 7th May 2050. General election will take place on the Thursday, 7th May 2015. To vote in election, you must be on election register. The deadline to register to vote in election in May, it will be on the Monday, 29 April 2015. I have here a guest from a Labour Party candidate called Mrs. Emily Darlington, a Labour parliamentary candidate for Milton Keynes North. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And also I have my left, Mr. Adam Jama, who is the councillor of Milton Keynes. Both of you welcome to this program. As far as we know, the Somalians are part of the British community, and many of us we don't vote that much. So to promote this an election to the Somalis, we need to appeal and say, now is your time to make your decision. And is the time where the British people to make their decision. So welcome to the program, Emily, first. And if I ask you, if you put your first question, why did you want to become an MP first place?
Well, I got really, being an MP is not something I ever thought I would do. I looked at Westminster and I thought none of them look like me, none of them sound like me, they don't really represent me. And then I thought, well, that's part of the problem. So as I was out talking to people and I'd hear about the bedroom tax and I'd hear about benefit sanctions and I'd hear about the housing crisis, I just got angrier and angrier, and I thought, I want to be part of the solution. I want to be part of making this country better than it is.
I believe it never happened, what they call the benefits sanction in the Labour part. But why it's happening now during this time into the Conservative part?
I think that's in large part because the Conservatives have a very different view of the world. And it is the Labour Party that brought in the state to support people. So when you lose your job, that was, in having job seekers allowance and then EMA and then employment support allowance, that came in under Labour because we believe in helping people. We all contribute in when we're working, and then when something happens, when we get sick, when we lose our job, something happens in our family, then it's about the state helping you get back into work, helping you get back on your feet. And it's just a very different way of viewing the world. Now, when the Conservatives came in, they thought, well, anybody who's out of work is out of work because they want to be. And that they're taking advantage. Now we all know that's not true, but they found it as an excuse to punish people who are already down on their luck. And actually, what we really need is to make sure that people are in good jobs that pay. We get rid of getting rid of 0-hour contracts, making sure that the minimum wage goes up. And under Labour, we would get rid of 0-hour contracts and we would bring the minimum wage up to £8 an hour, because it's important that if you work, you're able to support your family.
Okay, is this the first time you become a candidate for
It is. It's the first time. It's the first time. I never thought it was something I would do, but as I said, I was so angry and I thought, I want to be part of the solution. I want to be part of making Britain better.
So to make the decision rather than listening.
Exactly, rather than this Conservative government, which has really been damaging to our communities.
Right, okay. What do you want to pledge if Milton Keynes electing you as an MP and they put you into the Parliament? What is your pledge to that particular area?
I think the first pledge is to be a different kind of MP, to be an MP that is a community champion, that is actually there to represent people and not to go to Westminster and have second jobs and do all of that. Actually, the most important thing is for your MP to support your communities. And I think the key thing that we need in Milton Keynes is a bigger and better hospital, because our waiting times, at one point in the winter we were the 10th worst hospital for accident and emergency waiting times. You know, that's not right. We don't have enough doctors, we don't have enough nurses in Milton Keynes, and we need to turn that around. We've waited too long for the decisions to be made on our hospital, and we need that done now. We need a better hospital.
Okay, Alan, what can you add what Emily has said?
First of all, on behalf of Executive Committee of Labour Party, I really support what Emily Darlington is saying. We are on the same team and we work together. And I would like to say for the Somalian community, that's their opportunity now. If you don't vote now, there is no other thing you can do. You've been complaining a long time ago for more cuts from the other government. And we know that the Labour Party is the only party who is always considering you. If I take you back for history, during the Tony Blair, Tony Blair,
Gordon
Brown, the course was free of charge. The university tuition was very low, and the disadvantaged people were helping by the government. But now after that time, what we have seen is people who don't have even a skill, the job center is sending them and asking them to find a job. The surprising thing here is, if you don't have a skill, how you can find a job, which is really annoying.
So they're going to get punished.
Yeah, so what I'm saying to the Somali community is, this is the right time for you. You are not going to complain. You have to vote. If you don't vote now, the Labour Party cannot help you. And now you are a part of this country and you are part of the community. So if you support your Labour Party, then Labour Party will help you. We are at the time of action now.
Talking. Excellent. Emily, the Somalian has been facing a very difficult situation. Many Somalis thought they have been penalized and being treated differently from the British people. Children were removed and separated for the last 5 or 6 years. What are you going to pledge to those families who've been suffering a long time, who don't know where their children today? And one of them, it had happened on the 26th of March 26th, without knowing the family, the children, police and social services came to the house and removed the children. And one of the children, which I really were amazed, was 3 months old. And many people, they said, look, this system is not suits for our life. So what can you say that?
I think
it's a tragic and shocking, really.
Yes, I think whenever children are removed, it is shocking. But I think what we have to remember is the British system around social services is set up to protect those children. That is the first and primary concern. And I can't talk about this particular case, obviously. What I can say, though, is the system as a whole. It is about British law. It is about very clear rules. Only a judge can order the removal of children, and there must be evidence presented to a judge. Social services can make that recommendation, but only a judge can make that decision. And the first course of action, certainly at Milton Keynes Council, is to try and keep families together. And as I said, I can't comment about this case because it wouldn't be right, and I don't have the details.
As a mother, what do you really feel if your children were removed without knowing where your children today is, and every minute passes by, it's like the world is shut.
Yes, no, absolutely. As a mother, I do understand that, but
that's what the family now is in, and if you become a candidate, what can you change this? Yeah. Somalian believes this is the draconian laws which have been in place, some of them. So that's what accusations are now coming up. So what is your position will be when Somalians come and say, look, my children have been taken away, I've chosen to you as MPs, and you pledge that you're going to help me. What are you going to help me?
Well, that's your job as an MP. Yeah. It is to take up the cases in your community. And when you are the MP, then you are allowed to know this kind of information. And it is your job to act as the advocate. And that is what I couldn't pledge to do. It is really important, though, that, that we have British law, that we all understand it. We're all in Britain now, we're all British now, and some, you know, I don't, as I said, I don't know what's happened in this case, but what I can say is I do believe the laws are there to protect the children. And that doesn't mean that mistakes don't happen, but I can't say whether or not a mistake has happened in this case because I don't know the details. But very importantly, that at all times the children are protected, and I know our council, as much as possible, tries to keep families together and does a lot of work with families to bring them together.
Adam, what can you add this particular incident which took place in your city?
I think, as you know, Emily is talking to you now. At the moment, it's an investigation through the council, and all of us, you know, we are supporting this case to finish in a fair way. There's a judge, and also there's another, governmental, regulation who are doing these things. It's all, everybody is heartbreaking. When one child has been taken, but still we will continue to investigate, to observe the case, and we'll do what we can in the future, although this country, the investigation is done by the council itself.
Have you personally contacted the local children's services and asked what had happened to the family?
At the moment, you know, I arranged a meeting in next week or the other week with the director of the children and also other higher officer of council to talk about this case and asking them how things are going on. So at the moment, even the council is arguing that they are going to investigate the case, and we'll see what will happen in the future.
Okay, Emily, I'm coming back. There's a lot of allegations. I mean, many younger people are being put in prison, and we have a young man who has been in prison over 9 years now. He was in prison only, his term was 10 months and 2 weeks, and now he has stayed. Generally, we have written letters and complained to the Justice Minister and Home Office, and they haven't replied. So what's going on?
Well, what we do know is the Home Office is a mess right now, and they're not replying, whether it's police cases or immigration cases. There's a huge backlog, and actually that is wrong when it's people's lives that you're talking about, that people have to wait for answers. And it's important for, you know, in Britain, the rule of law and good administration is very, very important, and that's what's failing here. Because if there's no response at all, how should individuals know what is their future? And so I think the key thing, and I understand in this case, the MP has tried to get answers and still no answer. And I think it really shows the lack of priority of this government in ensuring that people get answers. You know, and this is about in Britain, we have very clear values about transparency, about fairness, and that transparency and fairness can only happen if there's a proper exchange of information with the government.
Okay, this young man, he has been given his British citizenship. He say, look, if I can get out in Britain, I want to go home, and he has prepared for this. And still he can't get. What we do know is some other people being deported, and this gentleman has requested to the British government to deport him, and still Home Office are failing for this. So if you become MP, what can you do for this? If this particular case,
it's hard to know, but what you can do is push for answers and find out why this gentleman is still in prison after all this time, and that his letters are going unanswered. I don't know the case personally. I don't know why he was in prison in the first place, and I don't know why he's not being released. But this is not what the British justice system should be about. The British justice system is about fairness and transparency and expediency, and clearly something has gone wrong here.
Okay, we have got a caller. Hello, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the program. And make your comment, please.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. My name is Sahal Yusuf Ali, and I would like to ask the would-be MB, Ms. Emily, an important question.
Mr. Darlington.
Emily.
Hello. Good evening, Miss Emily.
Hello, can you hear us?
Good evening, Miss Emily.
Yeah, yes,
Hello?
yes. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. I hope things would go very well for you and you might get elected. My question is, Milton Keynes is a home to a very large number of Somalians,
Yes.
people of ethnic Somali origin,
Yes.
who are clearly marginalized and badly treated people, and who have no voice at all. I have traveled from London all the way to Milton Keynes in support of the respectable parents who have been arrested and who had their five lovely children taken away. I can tell you, I have managed to speak to the community, and I sense it. There is a deep-rooted anger and frustration in the Somalian home. And I also, what is more frightening is that the Labour Party, the majority Labour Party government, the officials in the building, even though knowing that there is a large number of protesters outside their building, they didn't bother to come out. So, what would difference you are going to make if you are elected and you manage to represent your people? Because already people are frustrated. I don't think Labour would win in Milton Keynes, because for a very big reason. There is a deep-rooted anger over this issue. And unless this issue is looked at, the Somalians will be referred to stay indoors and not to give their vote.
Okay,
I've been contacting people.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
what matters is...
Thank you very much. I mean, he was commenting about the 5 children, but as far as we know, you know the MP and you know a councillor, so you can comment about it.
Well, I think there's two issues that he raised there that's really important. One is there is a very large Somali community, and it's very important, and I'm sure Adam can talk about this, that we get more people from Somalian background involved and representing. And Adam is a councillor, and in fact I think we should get more people involved in the local politics, because that representation will help to ensure that those voices are heard.
Excellent.
Personally, the other issue he's raised is, yes, there is a lot of anger, and there was a protest around this case. As I said, I don't know the details of the case because I'm not the MP currently, but it is really important that the investigation that Adam spoke about has a chance to take place, and that it's absolutely clear that at all times the thoughts are with the children, and that the children are put paramount, and that is, that is the way the British system works, and I think that's the way we would all want it to work. As a mum, my thoughts are always with the children first. So I don't know the details of the case, and that's why it's important there is an investigation.
Okay. Can I comment?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I would like to reply, my colleague at the moment. He said the Milton Keynes community has no voice. We have a voice. We have very good communication with the Labour Party. I know the leader of the council, Mr. Peter Marlin. I know other also high level of the cabinets. So we have good communication, we have good relationship with the Labour Party, and we have a good voice. And he also, maybe he didn't hear, but what I said to him now, already I have requested to meet with the leader of the council, the director of the children, as well as also MP Darlington. Already I have sent, and I spoke with the secretary to arrange a meeting. So after that meeting also, we are going to arrange another meeting for the whole Somali community. And this will come the coming week. Already we have Monday, there's a bank holiday. I told them we need very urgently, either might be Wednesday or Thursday. But the process is we are in the process. Apart also of the councillor, and also I'm a member of the executive committee of Labour Party. Also I'm also a president of Somali community at also Milton Keynes. So I think he missed this point. we have voice, we have good communication. We are one of the best, community who can bring their MP here. It's very rarely, even the London people, they cannot bring their MP, but here it's very clear that we have good communication, we have voice. That's why the evidence is already I have bring the Milton candidate of Labour Party with me here.
Okay.
So all these are...
Okay, I'm going to put this question to the Emily. I mean, the gentleman has sounded that the people are angry.
Yes.
And he said people might stay their homes.
Yes.
Because they don't feel that the system is working on behalf of them.
Yeah.
So what is your pledge, as I said earlier, I mean, to have a connection with the Somalis? When people see that someone is saving on behalf of them, they would then help them, because each one has to be helped. And tell us about what MB stand for. Yeah,
well, when I became a candidate, I reached out to all parts of the community, and the Somali community was one of the first communities to respond to that. And so I've had several meetings with the Somali community, and we have another one coming up next week where there should be hundreds from the community that I'll be meeting. It's really important as an MP, if you're going to be a proper constituency local MP, it is to listen to those concerns. I think if you're angry and your reaction is to stay at home, then it's easy for politicians to ignore you. It's easy for your voice not to be heard. And in fact, that's probably the last thing you want. So I would urge you to go out, to go vote, to meet your candidates, to tell them your concerns, and to ensure that your voice, your concerns are heard. And one of the reasons why this Conservative government is able to do the things that it does, particularly against young people, is because young people don't vote. Now, if young people vote, young people from all communities, from the Somali community, from communities right across, if they voted more, then their voice would be heard more, then their issues would be taken up more. And so if, I think if you're angry, then the best thing to do is to vote. The best thing is to make sure that everybody in your community is registered. And in Britain, what we do is we go to that ballot box and we put our X next to the person that we think is going to best represent us.
Okay, do you want to add something? Yes. Statistically, we came to know that the Ethnic minority mostly and the Somalian community, most of them, they support Labour Party. I can say about 99%. But what I'm urging again for the Somali community is, we don't need what they call talking. We need an action. Yeah. There will be also some organizing, meetings where we will invite also, as I told the MB analysts, for the coming weeks. So we need this month, which is in April, to work very hard, and people should register voting before this time also deadline has finished. So I'm saying to my community, we don't need just talking. We need action. If you don't vote now, then Labour Party cannot help you. So this is the time you have to wake up and vote.
Excellent. I mean, we all want to have a proper leaderships. In council, we need a responsible. And that, as you said, if the people don't vote, you don't get what you want. So now is your time you make your decision, and unless you do so, then you will become a failure. So how are we going to get that, children? We do another edition. But Emily, if we come back, there's another area we want to look. The Somalians really are suffering lack of unemployment in many parts of UK. Yes. Also, Somalians are stigmatized because Somalia is not a stable country at the moment. So, as far as you know, a few days ago, the terrorist attack in Kenya, where they're claiming, and Somalia has been blamed. And so, what will be the foreign policy of the Britain, to change the current situation of Somalia? Because Somalia is, many people believe that they're under occupation rather than helping other countries. Became Kenya's in, and the Ethiopia's in, and but there are 26,000 troops in there. And still, they cannot secure the building of the Somali government. So what are you going to pledge to the Somalis?
Well, the Labour Party policy on foreign policy is very clear. So first of all, through our foreign aid, we build up economies. Because people turn to violence, people turn to hate when they have so much frustration that they can't support their family, that they can't make a life for their children. And so a key thing is to make sure that there's an economy in Somalia. Now, the only way to get that economy is to have peace. And Britain is is Britain, but most importantly, Labour Party, has that reputation of respect in the in many areas. So we must go in and try and support good government, a government where people have voice, people are able to see the things we were talking about before, transparency, fairness, all those, so that a government that people can actually have confidence in. And so it's the two sides to the same coin. It's about having a foreign policy that is about promoting those ideals, but also international development policy that is about building those structures of good healthcare, good economy, good education, and making sure that the next phase of the Millennium Development Goals actually go much farther, that they go, and particularly from my perspective, go to supporting women in those communities and ensuring that girls have education as well.
Okay. Do you know particular an aid that Somalia gets from Britain? Do you know?
Do I know that off the top of my head? I don't. I will let you know. I will find out and let you know.
Absolutely. Somalia has been suffering almost the last 27 years. As you say, peace without peace, there's no life. And still we are under occupation. And it's frustrating us every day when Somalian being accused that they're younger people or Al-Shabaab or other people are coming in Kenya, and Kenyans are getting a huge amount of aid to destroy. What we have seen for the last few weeks, I mean, the Kenyan president saying we're going to stop this, but the troops of the Kenyans are inside in Somalia. The air forces are killing the nomads of Somalians. So we're hoping also this to be, there's one report what we're hearing is, one victim, but no other victims. And this is unreported world in Somalia at the moment.
Well, I think you've raised some really important points there. I think first off, you've raised the fact that this isn't, these issues are going on across borders, aren't they? So we can't just work. It's not just Britain working bilaterally to Somalia. It's actually Britain, the world, and other nations in Africa working on those solutions. Because actually, what we're seeing crop up in many different places is that frustration. What we've seen under this government, under the Conservative government, is that foreign policy and international development policy has been focused on just making, has been pulled back. And actually it's not about empowering people. In fact, it's been very little focus on those things that empower communities like education and health. And while they have legislated for 0.7, they really should be going much further. In the sense that it's not just about what you say, it's about what you do. And it is the Labour Party that really started that. It was Gordon Brown that went around the world and said we have to think differently about this. And that's what we need to continue. And Douglas Alexander, who is our foreign, he is the shadow foreign secretary, who hopefully will be the foreign secretary after the election, very much feels that way. It's not the old style of British imperialism. It is the new style of Britain being able to support and empower and work in cooperation, because that frustration that causes people to join these terrorist groups is a threat across Africa, but also a threat to us. And what happened at that university in Kenya, it was just awful. Those pictures, these were you can imagine those parents who had saved that money to send their child to university, and for that to be the result, they must be devastated. And those children who were, those young people who were getting that education, they wanted to make the world a better place, and now their lives are cut short. Absolutely. And that is absolutely heartbreaking.
Absolutely. Let's come back to the votes. We have a few minutes left, I think. There are a lot of people, younger people, and some other people, they join in that they don't want to vote. So what is your mission now? What are you going to persuade to those voters, what do you want to say to them?
Well, my view, very clearly, if you want to improve your community, if you want to challenge injustice, if you want to be a part of making both your community and the world a better place, what you need to do is register to vote, and you need to vote on the 7th of May, and I very much hope that you'll vote Labour.
Okay, we know many local youth centres has been closed.
Yes.
And what are you going to do if you win this vote?
Well, this is one of the absolute scandals under this government, is how much youth have been unemployed and out of education and really with nothing to do. Where's the hope? You know, they're looking for a job, they can't find one, there's nothing out there. So for every young person, the Labour Party will either promise them a place in education or a job, because it's not right for you to start out your life with nothing to do. And it's important that you're either getting those skills to get a job or you have a job. And the way to do that is to have a government who is actively supporting you to do that.
Absolutely.
I want to add one more point with Emily, as she explained to you now. You know, the high unemployment is the young people, and also generally for the minority people.
Yes.
And as I obviously said before, you know, the only way you can, you know, help for the young people is to create what they call job, and also what they call skill. If the young people has no skill,
entrepreneurs.
They can find a job. Yes, entrepreneurs. So the Labour Party long time ago, they provide courses through the colleges, the Milton Keynes College, the free of charge courses. Everybody who has no job, and even Open University, when I lost my job last time in Tesco, I did a degree from the social science in Open University through the you know, rule of Labour Party. So I think the only way they can find more opportunity for learning courses, entrepreneurial training, is when they vote for Labour Party. Otherwise, the situation will be like the same now, where the college and everywhere is you know, is asking people to pay.
Absolutely.
So I think the Labour Party is doing their best, but they cannot do alone without us. But if we support them, then they can support us.
And Somali, what are you going to send to Somali? Okay.
In Somali, just as a Somalian you know, language, I would like to take two messages. One about the
Somali.
I'll talk to them. One about the child. They said took about they took by the council, one issue, and the other one as a vote. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Marka hore waxaan doonayaa inaan idin sharxo arrintii ka dhacday maalmo Milton Keynes. Runtii arrinta waxa badan halkan lagama sheegi karo, laakiin Soomaali ku hadlo waxa weeyaan arrinta aan ku jirnaa anoo Milton Keynes nahay, ninka leaderka haysta councilka waan la kulmaynaa, gabadha MP-ga waan la kulmaynaa, waxa kale aan la kulmaynaa maxalada qofka kale ee carruurta qaabilsan. Inta shir baan u yeelanaynaa weekend ama ku xiga. Insha Allah waxaan jeclaan lahaa in carruurta la soo daayo, waan ka xunnahay. dadka iyaga u qaadan inaan waxba qaban, waanu qabanay, waa la xiriirka hadda noo socda. laakiin waxyaaba badan aan doonaa inaan kasii hadalno, hawshu way socotaa, meel fiican meel maraysaa. marka investigationka qolada wadaan anaguna waanu dhinac wadnaa, waxaanu jeclanahay insha Allah inay si khayr ku dhamaato. midda kale dhinaca foodka yimid, foodka hadda waqtigan ugu jiray bishan April, dadka waxaa loo baahayay in qof walba is register foodka. April buu dhacayaa, qof walba waxaa loo baahayay foodka inuu is register gareeyo. waxaa Labour Party-ga housingka guryaheeda ka caawinayaan, health caafimaadkeeda ka caawinayaan, educationkeeda ka caawinayaan. marka haddii Labour Party ka caawinayo wax laga qaado ma jirto. This is my message for the Somali language.
Absolutely. What will be the first day after you be elected and come to the parliament? What would be your message across the British people, not only Somalis?
I think the message across the British people is that it can be better than this. It must be better than this. We need an economy that works for everybody, that there's an opportunity for everybody. In Milton Keynes we have a lot of ambition, but that ambition is failed if we have 1 in 5 children still in poverty. That ambition is failed if we have 1 in 5 people earning low wages. And so what we actually need to say is Britain can be better, Milton Keynes can be better, but it's only better if there's opportunity for everybody to be involved in that, and that's every community to be involved in that.
Some voters, they don't vote because they don't see some MPs has been failed to support them.
Yep.
And others now, they live in as I said, as I started at the program, I mean, the MPs was dissolved, and now they have to struggle to be elected again and to become a candidate for their constituency. So many people are very angry, you know, austerity measures, lack of job, and you know, some people, they lost their homes, they don't have homes. And what is your solution, the current housing crisis in Britain?
Yeah, I think there's two things. One's the very most important thing. We have to build more homes. You can't solve the housing problem without building more homes. And Labour has a policy to build 200,000 more homes a year. And that is really important. Locally in Milton Keynes, we've got a council that started building council housing again, because for too long no council houses were built. The Conservatives sold off council housing. The Liberal Democrats sold off council housing, but they didn't build any more. So we have a council housing problem there, but also we're going to build more homes. Second thing is, many people are in private rental, and for too long that has not worked. So we're going to have stop rents from going up so much, stop landlords from charging tenancy to the renter every single time, every 6 months, and we're going to start making 3-year rental agreements the norm, so that people have stability, so that the children don't have to move schools every time that you move house, that you can stay in the same area the whole time. And that's really important that we tackle that. And in Milton Keynes, that's a big issue. We have so much private rented accommodation. Excellent. It will make a big difference to people there.
So there's a caller calling us. Hello, welcome to the program. And where are you calling? Your name, please.
Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I would like to ask Miss Emily a question.
Yes?
Hello? Can you hear
We
me?
can hear
hello,
you,
we can hear you.
Loud and clear, we can hear. Yes, go on your question.
Yeah. Just my question is, I hope that the election goes well. The majority of Somalis across Britain are supporters of Labour, and because most of us believe that this is the party for the poor and the underclass, but honestly, I think we are at the bottom of the social ladder. We do not have the kind of people you expected to have after 20 years of stay. We don't see Somalian doctors, nurses, teachers, lawyers, people with professional qualifications. And I think even though Britain is compared to millions of places in the world, is a model society, and we cannot, we do not find ways to express how hospitalized and well looked we were when we came here, running away from troubles of our own homes. Yeah. Well, I think there is one thing that we all feel. Miss Emily, we are not getting our share of the jobs, and no Somalian faces in schools, colleges, hospitals, banks, building societies. And this is very worrying, not only in Milton Keynes, across Britain. In place where I live, Hammersmith and Fulham, in the heart of London, one of the richest areas, we are facing the same problem. I may ask all my friends to give their votes to you, and I hope that you appear in the parliament as representatives. I wanted you to assure people, give us assurances that you will do your absolute best if you win this election and you become representative, that you will look after those who have been outnumbered and marginalized. We do have general feeling among the educated and among all of us that there are social barriers that are in place that are preventing us from real progress. Most of them are man-made. We are not naming names, but we wanted these to be removed so that Somalians can progress. We are a very useful people. And one more thing I wanted to say is that in Milton Keynes, the brief period I have been to, I couldn't see one Somalian restaurant. And I asked it, the reason why there could not be one Somalian restaurant. One of the areas we are very good at doing. So I think if they told me the local authorities have strict conditions, can you help if you are elected? Can we see these conditions, review it, and people given the opportunity to open businesses like fine restaurants that offers one of the finest foods in the country?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Last comment. I've been told, to finish the program.
Okay. So very quickly, I think you're right. I think there is still barriers in this country. I think what Nigel Farage said the other day about getting rid of human rights is exactly the wrong way to go, because actually we do need laws that protect people from being discriminated against because of their background or their nationality or their colour or their sex. And I think that is very, very important. That's part of being British, that we do not discriminate, but we have to, when we see it, we have to call it out and we have to tackle it. In terms of the Somali restaurant, well, fabulous, yes. Why don't you come to Milton Keynes and set one up? I think it would be very popular and I would be happy to eat there. So yes, I look forward to you setting up a restaurant in Milton Keynes. I think that sounds amazing.
Absolutely, that's brilliant. Adam, you represent for Somali community in Milton Keynes, and as the brother said, Sal, there's no one single restaurant, isn't it? That's shame for Somalis to set up their own restaurant and to congregate and solve their problems, rather than sitting at the restaurants.
I just want to clarify that the Milton Keynes Council is welcoming everybody who is willing to open a business.
But why? The question, brother, was holding is why one restaurant shouldn't be set up in Milton Keynes?
I don't know.
It depends upon the community, not for the government. We are not going to blame this one for the council, but this depends upon the community.
I mean, London, we have so many, as you know, we have so many different business, and Somalians are really doing well in London and other parts of the UK.
Honestly speaking, the way the concept in Milton Keynes and the way the concept in London is different. London, you have small places where you can easily find a place to open. But in Milton Keynes, you have a very big shopping center area. Wow. So it's a little bit different, but still, the council is welcoming anybody who's willing to open.
Yeah, we have a problem in Milton Keynes, like many high streets outside of London, where we have lots of empty properties on the high street, and the council really want people to open up restaurants. So I would encourage anybody who wants to open a Somali restaurant that there are properties and that the council will support them on things like business rates to open that restaurant. So I, as I said, I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Sal, you listen to that comment, and I hope you're going to encourage to the Somali of Milton Keynes to respond with this.
Okay, the only comment I want to add is, as Emily said, there's no restriction from the council. The council is always opening hands for people to open a business, and they will encourage them. So anybody who's willing to open there is welcome.
Absolutely. Is there any caller want to put the last question? We would like to hear from you. Don't be shy. We would like to talk. Don't hide it. If you don't vote, you don't get what you want. That is the message across the Somalis, across the British people. In this nation, they vote, they choose their leader, not for us. So I give you the last word to talk to the Somalis.
Well, the last word, wow. Well, I think that I'm going to say exactly what you said. It is so important. The 7th of May is the time when you choose the government. That is the time when everyone across Britain will be choosing who is going to represent them. And you've got the choice to make is which government do you want, and more importantly, which person do you think is going to listen to you and fight for equality and opportunity for everybody in the community. And I hope that on the 7th of May you make that decision, and that decision is Labour.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for watching this particular program which we held today. We continue to have another edition. Thank you for watching, and see you again.